if you dare. The man who knocks. Don't open the door. In every province, every barangay, every street, there's always that one house that people avoid. The house that neighbors refuse to live next to. The house where strange sounds echo every night and where people whisper about a visitor who arrives exactly at 3 a.m. They call him the man who knocks. Nobody knows where he comes from. Nobody knows what he really wants. But the rule is simple. No matter how many times he knocks, no matter how loud, no matter how long, you must never, ever open the door. This is the story of Leah, a single mother who moved into an old rental house deep in the province, hoping for a fresh start, a quiet life, something simple, affordable, something away from the noise of the city. The landlord was hesitant, eyes shifting as he handed her the keys, kept saying, "Kung may kumatok sa hating gabi, wag mong buksan kahit anong mangyari." But she smiled, nodded, thinking it was just an old superstition. For the first few days, everything felt normal. Birds chirping, kids playing, neighbors friendly. But as soon as the clock struck midnight, the air would shift. Cold, heavy, thick. The crickets would fall silent. The dogs would start howling. And from somewhere deep in the distance, footsteps echoed, slow, steady, getting closer, one step at a time. Gravel crunching, leaves snapping. Then, at exactly 3 a.m., the knock came. 3 loud, slow, deliberate knocks on the front door. Tock, tock, tock. She peeked through the curtain. Nobody there. Nothing but the empty street. The wind, dead silent. The shadows, too, still, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The next night it happened again. Same time, same knock. No footsteps leaving, only arriving. Her phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number flashed on the screen. "Wag mong buksan," she replied, "Sino ka," but no answer. Just 3 dots. Typing, then disappearing. Then typing again, then gone. Then the knocking returned, louder, faster, shaking the frame, the windows trembling as if something heavy was leaning against the door. Her child woke up crying, pointing at the front wall, whispering, "Mame nakatingin sa pinto." She grabbed her child, held him close, heart racing, whispering prayers under her breath, then silence. No knock, no sound. Nothing but the sound of her own heartbeat, pounding louder than anything else. The next morning, she checked the CCTV installed above her door, scrolling through the footage. But at 3 a.m., the screen glitched, static flashing. Then a figure appeared, tall, too tall, head almost reaching the top of the doorframe, long arms, thin fingers bending backwards, hands pressed against the door. Face not visible, only darkness where a face should be. She paused, the frame zoomed in, but the more she zoomed, the darker it became, as if the figure wasn't captured by the camera, but by something deeper, something that wasn't supposed to be seen by human eyes. Neighbors told her quietly during the day, "Lahat ng tumira dito hindi na tumago. Kasi kapag binuksan mo yan, wala nang babalik." Then the third night came, wind howling, trees bending, windows rattling, but no knock. This time only scratching, long, deep scratches, dragging slowly across the wood, across the windows, across the walls, circling the house. Her phone rang, unknown number. She answered only to hear her own voice on the other line whispering, "Buksan mo, buksan mo." Then breathing heavy, slow, deep, right into her ear. She hung up, threw the phone across the room, but the knocking started again, louder, heavier, faster, the doors shaking, the hinges rattling as if ready to break her. Child screamed, covering his ears, crying, saying, "Ayoko na mapalisin mo siya." Suddenly the lights flickered, the TV turned on, static flashing. Then a face appeared, not clear, not human, something twisted, mouth stretched, eyes hollow, grinning, whispering, "Pag binuksan mo ako, ikaw na ang sunod." The door handle slowly turned, shaking, pulling, but never opening, as if something was testing, waiting, checking her resolve. Then from behind the walls, tapping, knocking, footsteps upstairs, even though no one was there, something running, dragging, something heavy, breathing, giggling, whispering, "Buksan mo na, She grabbed salt, threw it across the floor, held her child tight, eyes closed, whispering every prayer she knew, until the knocking slowly faded, footsteps growing distant, breath disappearing, replaced by silence, cold, heavy, suffocating silence. When dawn came, everything stopped. The air felt lighter, the house quiet, as if nothing happened. But when she checked the door, deep handprints were burned into the wood, 5 long fingers stretched wide, pressed deep into the grain marks that no tool could ever make. Later that day, a neighbor left her an envelope with nothing inside except a photo of her house taken from the outside at 3 a.m. And in the photo, someone was standing behind her front door, pressed against the glass, face tilted, mouth grinning, eyes not visible, but hands, both palms pressed flat against the window, as if watching, waiting, ready to come in. Since then, every night the knocking continues, always at 3 a.m., always the same 3 knocks, always waiting for someone to be foolish enough to answer. Because once you open the door, you don't just let him in, you take his place. And the man who knocks becomes you, while you become part of whatever waits behind that door. The phone call never answer after midnight. In every city, there are numbers you should never call. Numbers that don't belong to any person, to any company. Numbers that aren't supposed to exist. Locals call it the deadline, because once you answer or dial back, you invite something into your life. Something that doesn't leave, something that doesn't forgive. Curiosity, mistakes or accidents. This is the story of Miguel, an IT support agent who often worked the graveyard shift, constantly surrounded by screens, by devices, by signals and networks, floating invisibly through the air. He always believed that everything could be explained by logic, by code, until the night he received the call. It was exactly 12:01 a.m. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. No country code, no ID, no trace. Just the numbers, 000, 0000 displayed on screen. He stared, confused, thinking it was a glitch, a spam call, maybe a system error, until it rang again. Louder, clearer, as if coming not from the phone, but from inside his own head. The vibrations sinking into his bones, into his chest, into his heartbeat. Out of reflex, he answered, "Hello." Silence. No static, no background noise, nothing. Just the sensation of being listened to. Deeply, closely. Then a faint whisper, so soft, so far away, yet directly inside his ear. "Nakikita ka namin." Miguel froze, heart pounding, glancing around his apartment empty. Nothing. Strange. Nothing unusual. Until the whisper came again, slightly louder. "Nakikita ka namin. Agusto ka naming makausap." He hung up, threw the phone on the bed, locked every window, checked every corner. But the moment the clock ticked, 12:03, the phone vibrated again. Same number, same tone, now heavier, deeper, slower. Each ring sinking into his skin like needles. The screen glitched, flashed, then displayed an image. Not his wallpaper, but a live photo of his own apartment from behind him, from a corner that didn't exist. The image showed him sitting staring at his phone, and behind him, a figure standing tall, shadowed with a crooked neck, long arms, fingers dragging against the floor, head tilted, eyes glowing faintly, mouth slightly open as if breathing heavily. Right behind him, he spun around. Nothing there, just shadows, just walls. But the air shifted, heavier, colder, thicker, as if someone was breathing right against his skin. The call answered itself. No input, no buttons pressed. The whisper returned. "Huwag kang titingin sa likod," followed by a sharp screech. Not a sound, but a feeling. A pressure like claws scraping inside his skull, dragging against the back of his mind, pulling memories, flashing images, random voices, people he didn't know, faces he'd never seen. All crying, all screaming, all whispering the same phrase over and over. "Sagot ka na, sagot ka na, sagot ka na." His screen cracked lines spreading like veins, glowing faintly, pulses syncing with his heartbeat. Then the camera activated by itself, showing his own face, but distorted, mouth too wide, eyes too small, skin graying, as if something was overlaying his reflection. slowly replacing it, twisting it into something unrecognizable. Miguel dropped the phone, grabbed his jacket, bolted out of the apartment, running down the stairs. But every floor felt longer, every step heavier. The walls stretched, shadows grew. Fingers reached out from door frames, scraping his clothes, touching his arms, whispering, laughing, sometimes crying, as if dozens of people were stuck between the cracks of reality, clawing to get out. The emergency exit door wouldn't open, stuck, locked. But from behind the door, pounding, loud, heavy, desperate mixed with whispers, Buksan Mokami, Sagutin Mokami, Wag kang tatakbo. He turned, sprinted the other way, but every hallway looped back to the same corridor, the same broken light flickering, the same window, the same shadow standing further down, waiting, arms open, head tilted, mouth grinning. His phone vibrated again, this time not from his pocket, but from every direction, from the walls, from the ceiling, from under the floor, loud, deafening, until the ground beneath him cracked. Hands burst out grabbing ankles, knees, thighs, pale fingers, thin, sharp nails digging not to wound but to hold, pulling him into the cracks deeper, darker, colder as voices filled his head over and over. Tumugon ka, wag kang tumakbo. Then silence, the kind of silence that isn't empty, but full, so full it feels like it's crushing. Every bone, every thought, every breath. The next thing Miguel knew, he was back in his apartment, sitting on the bed, phone in hand, screen glowing normal, as if nothing happened, but the wallpaper had changed. No longer his usual background, instead a photo of him sleeping, taken from above, directly from the ceiling, with a shadow standing next to the bed, staring down, arms reaching but not quite touching, fingers stretched, trembling. His call logs were empty, no missed calls, no received, no history, no trace. But his message inbox had one draft open, unsent, typed automatically, as if written by someone else. Andito na ako. Since that night, his phone rings exactly at 12:01 a.m. every night. Same number, same ringtone, same heavy presence, always watching, always waiting. If he turns the phone off, the landline rings. If he unplugs everything, the vibration comes from the walls. If he leaves the house, the sound follows, echoing through reflections, through mirrors, through shadows. Locals say the deadline is real. Once it calls you, it never stops, unless you pass it on. Forward the curse, by letting someone else answer, by letting someone else pick up. Because the truth is, the number isn't calling you, it's calling for you. Calling from something that no longer remembers what being human feels like. The woman behind the curtain. Every town has an abandoned house. The one kids dare each other to visit. The one where lights flicker when no one's home. Where people swear they see shadows moving behind windows. Where a woman is always seen behind the curtain, watching, waiting. This is the story of Renzo, a college student who moved into a small rental house behind the barangay church. The price was too good to be true, spacious, quiet, but the caretaker warned him with a low voice. Wag mong hahawin ang cortina kahit kailan. At first, everything felt normal, classes, friends, new life, until the first night, as he was unpacking, a soft tapping echoed from the bedroom window. Not loud, not urgent, just a gentle rhythm. Talk, talk, talk. When he looked, no one was there. Just the curtain swaying, not from the wind, but as if someone was holding it from the other side and letting it fall slowly. Brushing it off as paranoia, Renzo slept. But at exactly 3:17 a.m., a loud thud woke him. The sound of something hitting the wall. The air suddenly ice-cold breath, visible lights flickering. Then a whisper so close, yet so far. Wag mong hahawin. The next day, the neighbor, an old woman, waved him over. Her eyes serious, her voice shaking. Anak, kung naririnig mo na siya, wag mo na siyang pansinin. Wag kang titingin. Wag kang hahawi kasi pag nakita ka na niya hindi ka na makakataks. But Renzo laughed, thought it was just small-town superstition. That night, the tapping returned. Now faster, now louder. Footsteps dragged across the ceiling, water dripping from somewhere, even though it wasn't raining. Then a shadow moved behind the curtain. Tall, slender, the silhouette of a woman, hair long, reaching the floor, standing still, not moving, not breathing, just waiting. Renzo grabbed his phone recording the scene, but the moment he pointed the camera, the screen glitched. Distorted faces flashed, eyes, mouths static. Then the camera crashed. Black screen, battery full but dead. Then a voice behind his ear. Buckson Mona. Cold breath against his neck. Goosebumps crawling across his skin. He spun around, but nothing was there. Only the swaying curtain, the faint outline of fingers pressing against the fabric from the inside. Slowly sliding down, leaving dark wet marks like handprints, dripping black. His heartbeat raced, palms sweating, fight or flight taking over, but his feet were rooted, frozen. Then, the curtain twitched, the figure behind it moving closer, closer, closer. Suddenly, the lights died, total darkness, only the sound of breathing, deep, heavy, raspy. Then something brushed against his arm, cold, like ice, like fingers trailing down his skin. Then a sharp whisper straight to his mind, Tumingin ka na. Unable to resist anymore, his hand reached forward, trembling, gripping the edge of the curtain, pulling it just a little. And for a second, just a blink, he saw her, standing there, skin gray, lips stitched, eyes hollow, sunken mouth, slowly tearing open, wider, 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 filled with blackness, hands reaching out, nails broken, fingers shaking, twitching. Then the lights burst on, the curtain snapped shut, the figure gone. But across the wall, deep scratches were etched, 5 long claw marks dragged from ceiling to floor, fresh as if made seconds ago. Renzo ran, locked himself in the bathroom, crying, shaking, whispering prayers. But when he looked into the bathroom mirror, the reflection wasn't alone. Behind him, the woman stood, head tilted, mouth open, hands resting on his shoulders, whispering one word again and again, Akin Kana. The next morning he packed everything, ran, left the house, never returned. But locals say the house remains abandoned, yet every night the bedroom curtain sways gently, even when there's no wind. And sometimes if you dare to walk close, you'll see her shadow standing there, waiting, watching. And if you make the mistake of pulling the curtain back, she sees you, she remembers you, and she follows you home. The shadow on the staircase. Never look up. There's an old apartment building hidden between the city streets, barely noticeable, worn down, forgotten by time. Most residents come and go quickly, refusing to stay longer than a few months. Because of one thing, the shadow on the staircase. It always appears after midnight when the lights start flickering, when the air turns cold, when silence swallows the entire building. No matter what floor you stay on, there are rules. Never look up when you climb the stairs. Never check the reflection in the stairwell window. And never respond to the knocking that comes from the steps above. This is the story of Lance, a freelance artist who moved into the building drawn by the cheap rent. The landlord warned him with tired eyes, whispering, Basta wag kang titingin sa hagdan tuwing alas 12 hindi ka pwedeng tumingin sa taas. Lance laughed, thinking it was a joke, just another creepy urban myth. The first night was quiet until 12:07 a.m. When the lights dimmed, the hallway grew colder, footsteps echoed above, heavy, slow, dragging, as if someone was barefoot, wet, leaving sticky sounds on every step. The kind of footsteps that didn't match anyone he saw living in the building. Then, a knock, loud, clear, from the steps above. Not at his door, not behind him, but from right above. Talk, talk, talk. Followed by a whisper so low, yet sharp. Tumingin ka. Lance stood, frozen breath caught, heartbeat pounding. The air felt heavier, like something was crawling over his skin, pressing against his chest, gripping his shoulders. He took one step forward, but the lights blinked. A shadow crossed over the landing above. Fast, sudden, too quick to be human, yet slow enough to be seen. Just the curve of a shoulder, the tip of fingers dragging along the railing, the outline of a head tilted sideways, staring directly down at him. Even though he refused to look up, his phone vibrated. A message appeared from an unknown number, just 4 words. Don't look up now. His hands trembled, sweat dripping as footsteps creaked above, closer, heavier. Then fingers started tapping against the metal railing, slow, rhythmic, matching his heartbeat. Tuck, tack, 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 tack. He squeezed his eyes shut, breathing faster, but the whisper returned this time, directly against his ear. Nakikita, kita. Then laughter, soft, broken, childlike, mixed with something older, something rotten. Then the air shifted again, heavier, darker. The staircase itself groaned as if something massive was slowly crawling down. Step by step, 1 foot, then hands, then limbs dragging, unnatural joints popping, bones cracking. Then something touched the back of his neck. Cold, wet fingers trailing from the base of his neck up to his hair, brushing it aside. Then a sharp inhale, as if something was sniffing him from behind. Lance bolted, dashed up the stairs, but every floor stretched longer, every step echoed with double footsteps, one his own, the other heavier, slower, louder breathing behind him matching his speed. He never dared look up, not even when a shadow reached from the corner, grabbing at his bag, pulling his jacket, tugging at his sleeves, the fingers leaving smudges. Black handprints stained like soot, like ash, like something burned long ago, but never faded. When he finally reached his unit, slammed the door shut, locked every latch, the knocking started this time right outside his door. First soft, then louder, heavier, shaking the frame. Then a voice muffled, broken. Buksan mo? Tiding in Karin? The lights exploded, bulbs shattering glass, raining over the floor. His phone buzzed again. A photo, sent, no caption, just an image of the staircase taken from above, showing him standing there looking down, while behind him the shadow stood on the ceiling, arms stretched, head twisted completely upside down, mouth open, wide, too wide, teeth sharp rows upon rows of jagged edges, smiling. He threw the phone, grabbed salt from the kitchen, scattered it around every window, every door, whispering prayers, hands shaking, breath shallow. The knocking finally stopped, replaced by footsteps, walking away. But every step left a new handprint on the walls, dark smudges marking the way as if a warning or a promise that it wasn't over. The next morning, Lance packed everything, left the apartment, never went back. But the landlord never looked surprised, just nodded quietly, whispered, Mabuti, nakalabas, kapa. The building still stands, tenants still come and go, but the rule never changes. When midnight comes and the lights flicker, never look up on the staircase, never answer the knocking, never meet the eyes of the shadow, because once you do, it remembers your face and follows you wherever you go. The mirror in room 308. Never say your name. There's a hotel in Baguio City, not listed on travel apps, not advertised, no signs outside, but locals know it well. They warn tourists to avoid booking room 308 because of the mirror, the one that never reflects, right? The one where you're never alone. This is the story of Ivan, a vlogger who explores haunted places for content, always chasing thrills, believing every ghost story is just superstition, made for clicks. Until he found this place, referred by a mysterious comment on his video that simply said, Room 308, try it if you're brave enough. When he checked in, the receptionist avoided eye contact, handing him the key with a shaking hand, whispering, Kumanoman, ang mangyari wag kang lalapit sa salamin at wag mong sasabihin ang pangalan mo, kahit anong mangyari. Ivan smirked, thinking it was just part of the hotel's creepy gimmick for tourists like him. The room looked normal, plain walls, faded curtains, an old bed, a dusty lamp. But the mirror on the wall was massive frame, carved with strange symbols, almost breathing as if the wood itself pulsed under his fingers when he touched it. First hour passed, nothing unusual. He set up his camera, talked to his viewers, laughed, made jokes. Then the screen flickered, lights dimmed, and the air shifted heavier, colder. Then the mirror fogged from the inside, not from the room but behind the glass, as if something was breathing just beyond the surface. A shadow formed, not matching his movements, not delayed, not like a glitch, but completely separate, standing still when he moved, tilting its head when he froze. Hands pressing against the other side of the glass, leaving wet handprints, dripping, sliding down slowly. Then the voice came, not from the room, but from the mirror itself, whispering, Ano pangalan mo? Soft, slow, like wind crawling under his skin, echoing directly into his bones. Ivan laughed, responded without thinking. Ivan. And the moment his name left his lips, the shadow smiled, wider mouth, stretching far beyond what was human, eyes opening, revealing nothing but endless black. Then it mimicked his voice perfectly, repeating, Ivan, Ivan, Ivan. Each time, deeper, louder, closer. The camera glitched, distorted. The screen showed his face but twisted, stretched skin, melting eyes, doubling, mouths opening in places that shouldn't exist. Then the reflection didn't move with him anymore. It stood still when he waved. It tilted its head when he stepped back. It stepped forward, hand pressing harder against the glass, fingers elongating, nails cracking, bending backwards, skin peeling like old paper, revealing raw muscle underneath. Yet the smile never faded. Ivan stumbled back, heart pounding, phone vibrating nonstop with messages from unknown numbers, all saying the same line, "Don't turn around," over and over, vibrating faster, harder. A sudden knock on the bathroom door, loud, sharp, fast. Then the whisper returned, but now from both the mirror and the bathroom at once. Ano Pangalan mo. Ivan grabbed his bag, sprinted to the door, twisted the knob, but it wouldn't open, deadlocked. Then he looked back. Mistake. The figure was gone from the mirror, but footsteps heavy, wet, echoed behind him, breathing right at his neck, icy fingers brushing his shoulder, voice deep now, layered with dozens, maybe hundreds of voices. Ivan, tayo na. With one final scream, he kicked the door. It flung open. He bolted down the hallway, sprinted, never looking back. But every window, every shiny surface reflected the same thing. The figure, standing behind him, arms reaching, smiling, whispering, always whispering. When he reached the lobby, the receptionist simply shook her head, whispering, "Hindi lahat ng pangalan dapat sinasabi dito," before taking the key and locking the guest book without another word. Ivan never uploaded that video, never returned to that hotel, but his followers say, sometimes when watching his old streams, the reflection glitches slightly, just for a second, just long enough to see someone standing behind him, someone smiling, someone waiting. And if you listen closely through the static, you can still hear a voice whispering, "Ano Pangalan mo." If you enjoyed this terrifying story, let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button to help us bring more cursed tales and dark legends to life. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, but warn them first. And if you dare, subscribe to this channel, because here in Pinoy Phobia, the horror never ends. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next cursed story, spine-chilling folklore, or true paranormal encounter from the shadows of the Philippines. Remember, some stories are meant to be heard, but others are meant to be warnings. Thank you for watching, and remember, whatever happens, don't look back.